Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action, back for a death metal vinyl update. I've got 7 slabs of splatter to talk about, so let's get into it. First up, it's an album I only got in last week, but I have been listening to for many, many years, decades in fact, at this point, because it's a reissue. I am talking about the criminally underrated Crypt of Kerberos, World of Myths. Excellent cover on that, and we're going to get to the cover in a moment. If you don't know Crypt of Kerberos, they were a very unique kind of Swedish death metal band in the scene back in the day. They only ever managed this single full length. There was a lot of demos and some EPs and things. But like a lot of those Swedish bands and the Finnish bands, you know, they did one album and then their styles changed and there was problems in the band and that kind of thing. So nothing really came after this album. But what they put here is just, it is timeless. It's one of those just unsung classics. I don't think people talk about enough. I think those that know when we talk about Crypt of Kerberos. But this came out, World of Myths, in 1993, and is definitely more on that Edge of Sanity style Swede death, maybe a more melodic side of like Gorment, something along those lines. They peer with bands like Mordecus from Finland, or Internal Decay, also from Sweden. That's where I sort of feel Crypt of Kerberos sits. And a lot of inspiration, I guess, from something like the first At the Gates album, all those weird Alf Svensson guitars, that would apply to this as well. It's a really astonishing album. It's very precise, it's very dynamic. Probably went on to influence bands like The Chasm a few years later. You can hear a lot of that kind of sound in this. This is a wonderful gatefold. Talk more about it in a minute. 6 guys there on the back, looking like clones of each other. Oh, those Swedish genes. They all look like Dead from Mayhem. Except for this guy, looks like Bill Steer. But anyway, where was I going with this? It's a mix of stuff. Like in that first track, it's hitting you in this sort of like technical kind of death metal style, and then it hits you with these clean vocals, and you're not expecting them, and they're really, really well done. They're not like, you're lame, let's put some clean vocals on there and sound all cool. They're really good. It's kind of like listening to I don't know, like more like a progressive thrash band that with like a really good clean singer. Can't think of a good name at the moment, but there's bands like that maybe like Forbidden or something along those lines. That's where the clean vocals come in. It's only little bits here and there. It's not a clean vocal band. It's a death metal band. So yeah, you do get mainly in your growls. It's a bit like early Amorphous in that sound. It's a very inventive sounding album, I think. It's just the lead guitar on this is just lurching from lead guitar to solo to another lead guitar piece, all while like the main riff is playing, the drums are smashing it out. It's very virtuoso in how it's played, how it's directed. I mean, it's a talented sounding album, put it that way. I've had this amazing cover, which is what it always should have been, and that logo, which is what was on the demos. And then when Aperture Records put it out on CD, Huh? Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. There's the guys again there on the old Aperture Records out of France. And that is just a terrible cover, and I reckon that harmed it. I mean, you've got your Word Times New Roman font, and whatever. I mean, the CD is amazing. That's the main thing, but it doesn't help sell it, does it? With that crappy cover. This is what it always should have had. It's a fantastic looking piece of art. I'm not too sure who did this, but anyway, that's one of the reasons why I plumped for this. Now, usually, and I've talked about this before, this is how it was issued. This is a death metal album from 1993. It came out on CD. It belongs on CD. I don't generally feel like I need to get records of 90s death metal in general. I've picked up, like an ever-flowing stream, that kind of thing. In general, though, these things came on CD, and I'm happy with them on CD. But because of this awesome cover, and because this was sold locally, a buddy of mine, not too sure of the full story, but he brought 10 copies into the country. and maybe he sat on them for a while and he didn't sell. I'm not too sure, but he listed them on Facebook group last weekend for the princely sum of Australian $20 each, and it was like seagulls to the chips. They were all gone in half an hour. I was very lucky to grab one for that price, $20 and postage. Of course, I'm picking it up. Beautiful gatefold. You know, really does justice to what it should have been. All the lyrics, the wonderful artwork in there, and it turns out as well, which really matches the cover. It's a nice sort of purpley blue thing. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. It sounds, of course, fantastic. The Crypt do really, really good reissues. There we go on the back there again, and they do keep it kind of like, you know, like the fonts and stuff on the back there is pretty similar to what was on the back here. That's got the bordering font around it. It's exactly the same as the CD. You know, like they try and keep a theme of originality of how it originally came out. But anyway, Crypt of Kerberos, World of Myths. If you are late to this band, and I wouldn't be surprised, because one album, 1993, and it's not something that comes up in general conversation of 1990s death metal unless you really know about it. So if you don't, and this is your first time hearing about it, give it a listen. Link in the description. Awesome stuff. Next up, we've got a couple of records released from Tomb Mold, a band that everybody knows, on the tip of many people's tongues these days. Quite popular band. Have their fans, have their detractors. I haven't quite worked out their detractors, but I think the band is, at its point right now, doing really well, and I think some of their earlier stuff was really, really good as well. This is an EP from 2022 that I picked up when I picked up the new album, and we'll get to that in a minute. $20 Spin were doing what I thought was a limited release. They were definitely marketing it as like a website exclusive, that kind of thing. Pretty sure it has hit distros now, so yeah, thanks so much, $20 Spin. I had to pay extra for postage on this. But yeah, this was released originally on cassette. It is just 2 tracks and an intro, so no, it's not exactly necessary for an LP, but man, it sounds really good. It kicks off with a couple of minute long sort of synth ambient piece that feels very 80s, like an 80s documentary about planets. Like, this imagery would appear in that documentary while that synth is playing, so yeah, on point, I'll give them that. But then the title track blasts in, which is Aperture of Body, and it's really a single plus an extra song, really. It's crushing. This band have really honed their chops over the lifespan of the band, which has not been that long. Their evolution's been on that sort of blood incantation trajectory. Lesser of the sound they started with, which was a bit more of a bludgeoning filth-ridden sound from the first album. And if they're following anybody, it would be from Florida. It will be Death. I mean, that kind of more progressive each time. You know, like we're kind of approaching sort of like Death Human. You know, at this point, I think, in their career. So they're getting pretty technical, quite proggy and that kind of thing. What I like about this one is it is a meaty and full sound. Now, the previous album, Planetary Clairvoyance, I found that too clinical. I found a bit of a barrier for me to listen to. It was just too polished sounding. And admittedly, I haven't put it on in probably about a year now. So, you know, with all my Tomb Mold that I'm getting back into at the moment, I should give it another go. But last time I put it on, I was feeling a little bit underwhelmed because I was just being hit by this brick wall. Very clinical sounding stuff. Not so on this. This is much more, there's much more life in it. It's much more organic sounding, natural. But most importantly, I think the songs are more interesting here. The 2 main songs anyway. Kind of think sort of like the last Faceless Burial album. That's what it sounds like to me on this EP. Really crazy good leads. Like I said, it's only got really sort of 2 tracks and an intro. We've got the Final Assembly of Light, which is the little ambient thing I talked about, and then Aperture of Body, the title track, and then Prestige of Rebirth, the final track on that one, which ends with a nice sort of clean, doomy guitar passage that fits in with the sort of sister band Dream Unending, which I think guitarist of this band plays in Dream Unending. You could definitely hear the sound there. So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely not a necessary thing, I think, for just general fans of death metal. But, you know, the tracks are really good, and it's a nice presentation. Orange, it's like a tiger stripes. And yeah, because it's only, 13 minutes or something. It plays on both sides, which is nice. They didn't do the just like one side is just blank. They made it both sides playable. So if you ruin side A, you've got side B as a backup. Little sheet there of the lyrics. So yeah, I was really happy with this. I hadn't heard it when I ordered it. I was getting the main album, and I figured, oh look, I'll chuck this one in too. Why not? Saves on postage. And yeah. Really, really good stuff. The Aperture of Body from Tomb Mold. And that leads us straight into the album, which I think by this point everybody's already spoken about, so I won't say too much. The Enduring Spirit, the new 2023 full-length from Tomb Mold. And after the last album, as I was saying, which was very, very clinical and kind of left me a bit cold, I was wondering if the band was done for me. But I heard a track of this online, and it immediately just sounded better, like the production just sounded better. I'm like, okay. I'm going to order it and let's see how we go. This is a big improvement for me over Planetary Clairvoyance, at least by the last time I listened to it. Like I know I said, it's been a year or so. Huge improvement. This is obviously very similar to the Aperture of Body EP that we just looked at. Production very similar again, though that EP did benefit from being at 45 RPM. I got to say, it's crisp as. This one, you touch down. But what you get here, it's similar, of course, very hooky death metal. That is got as much prog as it has groove, as it has blast. It's just memorable riffs is what I really liked about this one. You can kind of play it as an album that just takes you away, and if you're not listening to it, it can just be almost background kind of like over the top riff fest. But if you're actually paying attention, these songs have an identity. And I played it digitally on my phone when I go for a walk or whatever. Probably a good 10 times now. I've played it on the vinyl twice through, and yeah, I'm really quite used to the songs. They all stand out. They all, I know when this particular track is coming on. So yeah, that's actually really impressive. We've talked about this kind of thing before, that modern death metal bands have albums, but the classic death metal bands had songs. Like you think about Morbid Angel and you've got 6 songs in your head right now, but you think about traditionally something like Tomb Mold and you're just going, and the album is good, and you're not going to go, yeah, that third track, blah. Though at least I usually don't. But this one's kind of approaching that for me, where I can start finding identities in these songs. But anyway, Tomb Mold on this one, what stood out for me on this is the drums. Again, like I said, that comparison I'm having with bands like Faceless Burial, and I've seen them live a few times, absolutely killer drummer. This guy is just as good. Never seen them live. One day I imagine Tomb Mold's the kind of band that might come to Australia. They've got that. We've got Mortiferum coming in the new year. That was unexpected. Going to see Mortiferum on a boat. Outstanding. So if that happens, Tomb Mold can come. But what I didn't put 2 and 2 together with, and everyone else is going to know this, is that the drummer is the vocalist. And I didn't realise that till I was doing some research for this, and I saw the photo of it, and yeah, old mate's got the drumsticks and the microphone. And that's okay if you're a band like Cruciform. I've seen them live, and it's slow, plodding death doom. You've got plenty of time between the hits. So, yeah, great impression. But this is tight and fast, and it changes, and I don't know how the guy does it. So, extra props for being a drummer of this kind of band and doing the vocals. Very impressive. Yeah, I mean, so many creative fills, and yeah, I don't know how this kind of drummer can do that kind of vocals at the same time. The vocals are not particularly outstanding or anything. Like, they're very, very one-dimensional, booming, guttural. Completely suits the music. It's fine, but to that point, he's like, it's the kind of vocals that you could probably shift to some other guy in the band or get a dedicated vocalist to do some windmills on stage, and it'd be just as fine. Like, it's not like it's a particular sound of vocal that no one else can do. He's not a Lord Worm or anything like that. So anyway, but yeah, great stuff. Love the lead work on this. I love all the different I thought it was a gatefold for a second there. It's not a gatefold. It's the kind of thing you just expect to be a gatefold because it's so damn big, and then it's got the back there and the front here. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I've listened to it like a dozen times now. I just keep finding little nuances and little bits in it, and yeah, and it, as I said, can just blend together if you want to listen to it that way, but it does have individual parts. It's definitely worth looking at. Inside we get nice sort of arty lyric sheet thing there, which is the inner gatefold for the lyrics. Very nice. Plenty of solos on this thing as well. Love the artwork. Very nice. I think it is the same guy that did the clairvoyant artwork. And a poster of said art. I won't open that gigantic beast, but it would look nice on the wall if you had the space. And I went for the blue. Kind of got like a dark blue splatter on the light blue. You know, if I'm going to the effort of importing a record and paying the stupid international postage, sometimes I will bother to get a fancy colour if it's on sale, particularly when the prices are no different. A lot of labels will charge you, extra few dollars for colour. $20 bin doesn't seem to, at least from what I've seen. Anyway, Tomb Mold, the Enduring Spirit. I think it's really good. I think for me personally, it is a return. It's an improvement over the previous album, and along with the not essential but just as good EP. Good to see new stuff from Tomb Mold. This one I'll keep particularly short, as I did a full-length review for it on the Heavy Metallurgy channel. Outstanding album. I mean, if I'm reviewing something for the Heavy Metallurgy, I'm picky. I don't like doing reviews for things that are not good. That's never been my style. I don't like doing a review of something going, this is shit, and hammering it for 20 minutes. I just wouldn't have bought it, or I'm just not going to be that invested in it. So that's not what I do. If you see a review from me on the Heavy Metallurgy, I like it, which means that Excarnated Entity, Mass Grave Horizon, I like it. This album's awesome. They are a Death Doom piece from Portland. Released an EP in 2019 called Stillborn in Ash. It was on cassette. I nearly wore the damn thing out. Then it was released on vinyl, and it got lots of plays. I still play it quite a bit, but now we have their debut full length here. Mass Grave Horizon. It just crushes. I mean, proper Death Doom crushes. It is generally slow and on par with something like early My Dying Bride, even slower sometimes to Disembowelment. But just like Disembowelment, just random sporadic blasting will come out of it, and then there's sort of like sluggish, chunky, early amorphous kind of riffs like Privilege of Evil kind of stuff, mixed with like a pitter-patter of double kicks, like that real Death Doom, just like really slow. Awesome. That must be kind of hard. Like, you can sit there with your feet and do some sort of fast thrash double kicks and on the floor, and you think you're on time. But to do a really slow one, that's difficult. I think it's more difficult to do a real slow one than a fast one. But anyway, what do I know? I'm an air drummer, not a real drummer. Heavy as balls, this album. It is just the word is crushing. It is the word. It is a crushing album. Go watch my full-length review. Link description below. But yeah, it is just outstanding. There's 8 tracks on here, and out on Nuclear Winter Records. Death Doom masterpiece. There, I said it. We will take a look inside. And lyrics. Got our soldiers down there at the bottom looking very unhappy with their fate. Another cool looking line up there. Castle. Awesome. And the vinyl, just a black. Nothing too exciting on that one. And that's your lot. So, Excarnated Entity, Mass Grave Horizon. Do go check out my full-length review in the description below. Next up, we have the debut album from a new Italian 3-piece. This came out a few months ago now, but it's the first thing that they put out. Outstanding cover artwork. It completely sold me. I saw this on the MSU distro, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Because that cover artwork, just glorious. I'm not too sure who did this. I should have noted it down. There is a signature down there in the corner. And I will try and remember to put his name here. But, outstanding. But Claustrum, Claustrum, self-titled album as well. Alright, so this thing starts with a bit of a synthwave intro. Second time I've said that in this update. It's a thing that bands do. But this one's a bit more like something that... the first thing I heard was like, This is like what Rice Fulber would contribute to a Fear Factory album. Like, okay, that's what we're going for. Then it is just crashing in with dense and blasting death metal with as much ferocity as it has a chunky groove, and super crisp production. Not like your tech death ultra triggered kind of stuff, but this is just really clean and crisp. And with this sci-fi cover, immediately made me think of Sulphur Aeon as a reference point. I think that's a pretty good reference point. And much of this album centers around like a tremolo lead playing over a heavy as balls riff, and either blasting drums or a lightning double kick. And I mean super fast. And that precision of the double kick with the production just makes it really like almost typewriter. Like I mentioned that Fear Factory sound. Don't worry, it's not like Fear Factory, even their early stuff. It's just, we've got 2 comparison points there. There's some more sinister slow sections that are like astral themed groove on it. Side A closer, Desire of Death, Nuclear Death in the brackets there, outstanding. Has more of a focus on like dissonance and a bottom end just churning sound to it. It's a nasty thick one. Side B track, Hopeless Despair, when you flip the side over there. It's got a movie quote in it that I cannot quite pick what it's from. It's definitely from a movie, and then it's just followed by Utter Destruction. It's the most crazy track on the album. The next track, Awaiting Doom, lives up to its name, absolutely, with a real sluggish bass guitar only intro. First time the bass really gets to shine a bit, and then really big heavy strum riffs, just dun dun, like big loose riffs. And then the whole thing ends with like this evil backmasking and feedback to just sort of finish off the album. And it's a quick listen. It's 5 tracks plus an intro and outro. So Necroptosi is the outro, and Ekpirosi is the intro. Those Italians. Cool logo. I would have actually liked to see the logo on the cover here. I can see why they've not done it. A lot of bands do this. They're like, here's the art. I do like it. Like just stick her up there, top right. Would have been fine. But whatever. Tiny issue. It's a cool logo. A bit like Apparition's logo. Yeah, it's got that kind of thing going on there. So yeah, quick listen, as I said. Really solid debut from these guys on a label I hadn't really heard of, which is called Unorthodox Emanations. And when I looked into it, it's actually a death metal imprint of, is the real logo here? No, but it does say the avant-garde music on the barcode. So this is for your first album to come out on avant-garde, yeah, you're doing okay. That's all right. Take a look inside here. You got lyric sheet with the logo again. Boys all got their band shirts on. We have a Napalm Death. We got a Mortiferum. Awesome. Can't see what old mate got on there because he's got his black leathers on. Got your big sunglasses, not Emperor sunglasses. Big sunglasses, cool band. And there is another piece of cool art. So it's just overall great presentation. And I liked this too. This was just a bonus. The LP, white and green, which goes very nicely with that cover. So yeah, really nice release, very surprising, and as I said, a very quick listen. So your Rain in Blood length death metal album, that's fine with me. Yep. And there's the wonderful cover artwork for a final time. Claustrum with their self-titled album, Claustrum. Definitely check it out. Next up, we have a band that I was following since their very first demos. When I heard who was behind the band, I was really interested in checking out what was coming up. They did 2 demos, then those demos were stuck together as an LP, side A demo, side B demo. Then they had a first full length a couple of years ago, and now we have the sophomore release from Conjureth, the Parasitic Chambers. Another amazing cover artwork, and I love their completely unintelligible logo. It is amazing. It's like Hissing's logo or something. It's just this. That is a bunch of scribbles. It is amazing. I mean, I can sort of see Conjureth in there, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So this CD, the CD came out in January. The LP only it was technically released in September. It didn't really come out anywhere till sort of October. So This happened with their first album. It just got stuck in the plants. I don't know why they had such bad luck, but I guess it happened again. So I've only had it for about 3 weeks now. I've been playing it, and this one. All right, these guys, if you don't know them, they play a very Californian brand of straightforward death metal, and considering that's where they're from, it's pretty apt. Particularly on this one. The last album was a bit more dense in the atmosphere, a little bit more impenetrable. It was good, but I think after the demos, it was a little bit of a step down, and I was really hoping they could regain it a bit more on this Sophomore, and they absolutely did. They've completely any issues I had on the first album all resolved here. So excellent job. This is a visceral attack of something like Deicide Legion or Sinister's Hate. You know, it's just death metal, smash you in the face. Which, when you look at this kind of cover, a bit ethereal, and like you think it's going to be like a cavern core band or something in that logo, you know, but sort of be like 12 beats a minute kind of stuff. Nope, not what you're getting here. Deicide Legion, Sinister Hate, just a bit more technical chops to them. Sort of maybe, because there's like a lot of chopping and changing as well. In here, more so than you would get on something like Legion. Start thinking your F and G albums, Morbid Angel. It feels more stripped back on this one than the previous album was called Majestic Dissolve. This does feel, and maybe it's the production, it does feel a little bit more stripped back to that just pure death metal sound, and I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. It's the same 3-piece lineup from their inception. Very straightforward back on that one. And this band was put together by Wayne Sarantopoulos, if I got that name right, who was in the particularly excellent underground band from 1999 called Eternal Suffering, who did a very, very good single album called Drowned in Tragedy. He did vocals on that. But the whole band, I mean every person here, the 3 members of this band, were in another band called Golgotha. And they did 2 albums and a couple of EPs, I think, from memory. I've got all their work. So Conjureth, they were getting quite weird by the end there. Conjureth is the less weird version. They put that band to bed, and then we got Conjureth out of the deal, and it is not as strange. It's just straightforward death metal, but it is, as I said, it's got its technical chops. So it's not meat and potatoes completely death metal, and it's not caveman riffs or anything like that. It's guys that know their instruments playing vanilla death metal, and because they know their instruments and they know what they're doing, it comes out really, really good. This is just it's pretty devastating stuff. Golgotha was more dredgy and doomy, and this is just, it's snappy. The drums are snappy, and it's all pretty fast. Not so much blasting. There is blast, but it's not the key thing here. They're just lots of fast songs, but they don't always go to the blast. Lots of like double kicks and those like fast triplets with just a snare, which is what those F and G Morbid Angels would do. Very much Pete Commando style of drumming on that. Very riffy songs with a big, nice, heavy bass presence behind it. For me, Immortal Thresholds on side B is the highlight track. Probably for me, because it's got a little squealy like immolation kind of bit in there, where it sort of just it's going along at its fast pace and then just stops, changes it on a dime, and we get into that sort of chuggy riff with like this sort of pinch harmonic stuff, and I'm like, immolation, I can hear it. That made me happy. Great album. The last track on this one, just to make sure that we're being a little bit different, we've just gone through all these tracks of pure death metal, and then we have the Unworshipped 2, and they doom it up. It is a doom kind of death doom song. It is completely different to everything that's come before it. There has been nothing like that on the album so far. Starts with like a really weird, kind of off-putting, like avant-garde sort of bass and drums only intro. Didn't know what was going on for a minute there. And it goes for about 20 seconds or so. Then it sort of leads in with like a bit of an off-kilter, death doom song, a bit like the early My Dying Bride, but like a little offbeat kind of way that they're playing it. So that was odd. And it's not a blemish or anything like that. It's a unique way to end this album. And I think because it's such a like head scratcher, like you almost want to play it again to find out what was really going on there. So anyway, yeah, good stuff. The Parasitic Chambers. We'll take a look inside, and we get to match the back cover. We get that sort of tan credits list there. The band photo, all looking very metal. We have is that an Evoken shirt? Well, there's your Doom track on the end. There's your lyrics. And I did get a colour on this. A lot of colours today, my god. Surprising for me. Kind of a lighty like cyan with black on it. Like I said, like I'm not a big deal guy with colour, particularly when it's ridiculous. And I'm always thinking back to those like 5 years ago, Immortal did all those reissues, and they like literally look like a clown exploded. And like, what has that got to do with Immortal? Sons of Northern Darkness, and it had this like some kid's crayon kit, and it didn't make any sense. But you know, when it makes sense, I'm happy. But yeah, Conjureth, Parasitic Chambers, for me, a step up from the last album, and honestly, the best thing the band's done. And last for this update, we've got some filthy, slow, and horrible death doom from Barcelona, Spain. Mark G with a C, I hope you've got your death metal pants on, because this one is for you. This is Sanctuarium, Into the Mephitic Abyss. This one came out of left field. I've seen a couple of people talk about it, but not that many. Relatively new band. They did a demo in 2021 and a split with another band I don't know called Magic Howl in 2022. Only a two-piece band. Two guys. Necro Helm, which is a great name. He is the drummer from atmospheric death metal band Jade, who I raved about last year. Was my first heavy metallurgy review and placed very highly on my top of the year list last year. Extremely high with their debut album. He plays all the instruments on this thing, so this is their sort of side project, I guess. And Carlos from a band called Troll Cave is another band I've not heard of. He does the vocals, so yeah, it's a one-man show with the vocals added on, and it is just, oh man, I don't want to keep saying the word crushing, but come on, this thing, 4 tracks, all lengthy, like 8-9 minutes long, 36 minutes in total of down-tuned sludgy death doom. It's straight up somewhere between like Autopsy style of horror-themed D-beat death doom, and then your disembowelment crushing funeral doom, Inverlock, that kind of stuff with chamber organs and all of that big, more grandiose doom stuff. So good. The fourth and last track on here, Decomposing the Pustulant Void. It is the highlight track for me. It's the darkest, it is the slowest, has the most of that funeral sound to it, and a lengthy sort of ambient piece to finish it all off. So there's not much else to really say. I think like that combination of Autopsy, Mental Funeral, and Disembowelment and Inverlock, slam the two together, and you get Sanctuarium, Into the Mephitic Abyss. It says there, total running time of over 35 minutes. So, yeah, great release, great artwork on it. This one sung to me when I saw it. I had been shared a link with it before, so I had given it a brief listen, but when I saw the LP was out, I'm like, okay, this one goes in the order. Much of this video came from MSUO. I did sort of a big order from them, and this was one of those, Into the Mephitic Abyss. Metal Archives now says the band is a 4-piece. Perhaps that's for touring, or maybe future releases might have more members. I don't know, but we'll take a look at the stuff in here first. There you go. There's the two guys looking incredibly Spanish and death metal. Outstanding. It is, Necro Helm, all instruments, and Carlos, lead vocals and lyrics. Awesome. Recorded in 2022. There's the logo. Rotted death doom coming from the Mephitic Abyss. It's just, the whole thing is just putrid decay, and I am here for it. It's not the world's most original death doom. If I start anything, I say it's a bit like Autopsy. Of course, you're either here or you're not. I like that the poster is not the cover artwork. Like, that's really cool. I like old mate up there. That's yeah. Excellent stuff on that. And the LP, my God, have they almost all been colored today? How surprising! It only came out on the floor. Bright green, bright, horrible, nasty neon sewer green. Outstanding. So yeah, there we go. It is Sanctuarium into the Mephitic Abyss. Awesome little two-piece there, featuring the main composer from Jade. So excellent stuff. And yeah, that'll about do it for this death metal vinyl update. Hope you enjoyed this one. Remember to check the links in the description for sound samples where you can listen to this stuff, and for the heavy metallurgy reviews for the ones that I've done longer form reviews of. As for this video, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out this guy and check out this guy. I'll see you next time.